You think you're being silly. You're not. When you look at your dog and say, "Who's a good boy?" in that voice, you didn't invent it. It's not affection. It's not habit. It's a reflex firing without your permission, and it's happening to almost every human on Earth, right now, today, in exactly the same tone. Scientists have a name for it: infant-directed speech, higher pitch, slower rhythm, simpler words, exaggerated vowels stretched out like taffy. For decades, researchers assumed this voice existed for one reason only: to talk to human babies. Then they started recording people talking to puppies, to kittens, to baby seals in rehabilitation centers, and the voice didn't change. Not the pitch, not the rhythm, not the exaggeration. It was the exact same acoustic signature, aimed at a completely different species. This should not make sense. A human infant can eventually learn language. A kitten never will. So why would evolution waste an entire vocal adaptation on an audience that can't even understand the words? The answer starts almost 200,000 years ago, and it has nothing to do with communication at all. In 2017, a team of researchers led by linguist Greg Bryant analyzed recordings of adults speaking to infants across 10 different language communities, from hunter-gatherer societies with no writing system to modern urban populations. The languages were unrelated. The cultures had never had contact with each other. And yet listeners from every single community could correctly identify infant-directed speech versus adult-directed speech just from the pitch pattern alone, even when they didn't understand a single word being spoken. The melody was universal. The words were irrelevant. That's the first clue that this isn't a communication strategy. It's something older than language itself. Here's the second clue, and it's the one that changes everything. Infant-directed speech isn't primarily about the baby understanding you. It's about the baby's nervous system recognizing you as safe. A newborn can't process syntax. It can't parse grammar. But it can absolutely detect exaggerated pitch contours, and those contours do something measurable. They lower cortisol, they slow heart rate, they trigger a calming response almost identical to being held. You're not talking to the baby's mind. You're talking to its stress response. And that reflex didn't evolve to stop at the edge of our own species. This is where it gets strange. In 2009, biologist Nicholas Mathavan recorded the vocal signatures of over 100 mammal species interacting with their own infants, and found the same acoustic pattern showing up again and again. Elephants soften their calls around calves. Rhesus monkeys shift pitch upward near infants. Even some birds modify their calls near chicks. This wasn't a human trait being extended outward. It was something far older, something baked into the mammalian brain long before humans existed, and humans simply inherited the oldest, most exaggerated version of it. So when you coo at a dog, you're not misapplying a human behavior to an animal. You're activating a caregiving circuit that predates humanity itself, one that doesn't check the species of whoever triggered it. And here's what triggers it. Scientists call it the baby schema. Large eyes relative to the face, a rounded head, a small nose, soft proportions, clumsy movement. In 1943, ethologist Konrad Lorenz first proposed that these features act like a biological key, automatically activating a nurturing response in adult mammals, regardless of what species the features belong to. Decades of research since have confirmed it. Puppies, kittens, baby seals, even certain cartoon characters engineered around the same proportions. The brain doesn't check whether the creature in front of it is actually an infant. It checks whether the shape matches the key. If it matches, the response fires. Your pet, an adult animal, fully grown, fully capable, still carries enough of that baby schema in its face and proportions to trip the same ancient switch that a human infant would trip. Which means every time you talk to your cat in that voice, some ancient part of your brain has quietly, silently decided that the animal in front of you needs the same protective, high-pitched reassurance a helpless newborn would need. It doesn't matter that your cat is 4 years old and could survive a fall from a 2-story building. The shape of its face got there first. There's a darker layer to this too. In a 2012 study, researchers at the University of Bologna monitored oxytocin levels in dog owners during eye contact with their pets. The hormone spiked, the same hormone that spikes between a mother and her infant during bonding. And in the dogs, oxytocin rose too. A feedback loop was firing in both directions, the same biochemical circuit that binds a parent to a child, running quietly between two different species that share almost none of the same evolutionary history. Dogs, it turns out, may be uniquely good at exploiting this. Over roughly 15,000 years of domestication, researchers have found that dogs evolved specific facial muscles wolves don't have, that let let them raise their inner eyebrows, widening their eyes into an expression that closely mimics human infant distress. It's called the AU101 muscle movement, and it appears to have been selected for almost entirely because it worked on us. Every time a dog gives you that expression, and every time your voice instinctively rises in response, you are both, in a sense, running a script that domestication quietly optimized over hundreds of generations. You didn't train yourself to talk that way. Something trained itself into you, one baby schema face and one oxytocin spike at a time, until the behavior became automatic. So think about what's actually happening the next time you catch yourself doing it. Your ancient caregiving circuitry, the same one that softens a mother's voice over a crib, doesn't know the difference between a human infant and a golden retriever staring up at you with wide, round eyes. It was never built to check. It was built to fire the moment the shape matched, and shapes have been matching for as long as there have been mammals raising other mammals. We like to think of language as the thing that makes us human, the thing layered on top of our animal instincts. But this voice comes from somewhere underneath all of that. It's older than English, older than any language, older than the ability to plan a future or tell a story around a fire. It's a signal your body learned to send long before it learned to speak, and it still fires exactly the same way it did hundreds of thousands of years ago. The same pitch, the same softness, the same instinct to protect something small. So the next time you find yourself saying, "Who's a good boy?" in a voice you don't remember choosing, understand what's really happening. You're not being silly. You're not being irrational. You are running one of the oldest programs your species has ever had, and it still works exactly the way it was built to, on a creature that was never a baby at all.